Let's go. Today I'm reviewing the 2021 film, The Green Knight. As always, this review is going to be spoiler free, so if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe to this channel and like the video. The Green Knight is based on the Arthurian legend of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, or Sir Garwin as he's referred to in this movie. I've never read the source material, but from what I've heard, this movie has taken some liberties. When I first saw the trailers for this movie, I expected it to be Return of the King, the A24 version. A movie about a heroic character going on a quest and facing monsters and stuff, and probably learning something about himself in the process. And at this point, with A24, I should have expected it to be a bait and switch, but for whatever reason, I did not see it coming. This is not a commercially appealing epic fantasy film. This movie is a slow meditation on the merits of honor and integrity versus self-interest, and the first time I saw it, I did not like it. But recently I decided to give it a second chance, and I'm excited to talk about what I saw. The plot follows Sir Garwin, played by Dev Patel. He's a knight at King Arthur's Round Table, but he's far from a shining example of valor and chivalry. So one Christmas, when the opportunity for honor presents itself, he jumps at the chance. A mysterious figure called the Green Knight comes to the castle and offers a challenge. One of the knights has to land a blow on him in battle, but the catch is whatever injury they inflict on him, they have to have inflicted back on them in 1 year's time. So Sir Garwin accepts the challenge and cuts off the Green Knight's head, but then to his horror, the Green Knight picks up his severed head and rides away. So 1 year later, under pressure from everyone that he knows, Sir Garwin sets off on a journey to find the Green Knight and face his fate. As soon as we meet this character, it's clear what kind of a person he is. He spends his time in taverns and brothels, and he's in a love affair with a prostitute. He's surrounded by a culture that respects honor and chivalry, and he has none of it. And that brings me to my next point. I love the world that this movie creates. It's a vision of a medieval world where the physical is not quite so disconnected from the supernatural. It's a world where witches and wizards and spirits walk the earth, and everything is brought to life in that distinctly A24 style. The cinematography is breathtaking, the stylistic choices are flawless, and the set designs really make this thing feel like it was shot in a different time period. It all makes for a very immersive experience. But the story that's being told in this world is not quite as grand as the visuals might lead you to believe. Quite the opposite. In fact, if you're expecting an epic or scary or even an exciting movie, you're going to need to check those expectations at the door. This is a morality tale, but it doesn't make the mistake of trying to tie everything into a nice, neat little bow with an easy message at the end. Instead, it does what a great work of art should do. It strives to show us the world as it is. The vision it presents is not a positive or optimistic one, but I believe it is a true one. So because of that, Sir Garwin is far from the typical kind of hero that you would expect in a story like this. At every turn throughout the movie, he's tested. His honor, his integrity, his courage, his intelligence, and his loyalty are tested, and in almost every instance, he fails the test. He has no ability to see any transcendent ideal beyond the present moment. He's a dishonorable and unlikable character, and that's going to be a hard sell for most audiences. But I think it's essential for the story that these filmmakers are telling. As far as what this movie is saying with its themes and motifs, I'm not going to go into that here. I recommend you see the movie if you want to figure that out. But I do want to point out one thing that I think a lot of people missed when seeing this movie. That is the fact that it's not supposed to be taken literally. This is a parable. It's a legend that's brought to life before our eyes. If you look at it as just a story, I don't know that it holds up all that well, which is a minor complaint that I have with it. But if you see it in the way that I described as a parable, this thing really opens up to you in a really rich way. I do have a few other small complaints, like I think the movie is a bit too long. There are some points where I feel like it drags and repeats itself a bit. They could have probably cut 10 minutes to make the movie tighter, but overall I don't mind the slower pace. There are also some ambiguities that I'm honestly not sure what I think of. I'll have to dig more into some things in the future, so I can't say for sure whether I like the way that some questions are just left unanswered. But these are minor complaints with a generally fantastic movie. The last thing I want to mention is the ending. The last 15 minutes or so of the movie, not including credits, are one of the most tremendous things I've seen in film in recent years. In large part, that's due to this sequence that comes at the end of the movie that I believe is like 10 minutes long with absolutely no dialogue. It brings all the themes of the movie together in an absolutely brilliant way and ends things off on a perfect note. The ending takes this thing from just being a really solid movie to being a great movie. Like I said, the first time I saw it, I didn't like it. So I can relate to people who are frustrated by what this movie's doing. But if you're one of those people, I highly recommend you give it another chance because this is quite an extraordinary film. In my opinion, it's a 9 out of 10.